This is how you perform the low to high chop variation, another great rotary exercise to help develop some power and control in any kind of rotary performance. You'll need a light to medium tube with handles or resistance band. You're going to need something to anchor it to. Any heavy piece of equipment, squat rack, web slide, anything that won't move as you build tension on the band will work. And you can also use a cable system if you have access to one. So we're going to take our anchor point this time low. Somewhere at knee or below height will work. Setup is the same with all of our chop variations. Our anchor point is going to be perpendicular to us and a little bit out in front of the body. We have two options for our stance. If you're more of an athlete, you can just take your typical athletic stance, hip to shoulder width, a stance that you would perhaps be comfortable squatting in, or if you're an avid golfer, I always recommend that you take your golf stance when doing rotary exercises. So we've chosen our stance. We're going to root the feet in. We always start at the feet and work our way up with the cues. Feet are rooted. We soften the knees so we can engage the hips. We're going to get into that slight hip hinge position where we extend the hips back, keeping the knees soft, keeping the feet rooted, keeping the spine locked in. As always, the goal of all of these rotary exercises is to keep that lumbar as stable as possible and to use our hips as an axis. Belly button is pulled in tight. We are locking in the hip girdle throughout the whole exercise, maintaining that posture throughout the whole pattern. We're going to grab onto our handles. The handles are going to stay in line with the sternum. The arms are just a lever. So we're going to lock the arms in place. They don't need to be perfectly straight. They can have some bend in the elbows as long as you maintain the position they're in the entire time. So on the back end of the pattern towards our anchor point, we're going to come down low, maintaining posture. Belly button is pulled into the spine. And then we're going to leverage and pivot off of this left hip to high. My sternum has stayed in line with the handles. My arms have not moved. We come towards the shoulder as we rotate to the end of the pattern. I'm squeezing that left glute. I always recommend doing isometric. So when you get to the top of that pattern, we're going to go through the cues, pulling the belly button in, squeezing the left glute, holding for 2 to 3 seconds, and then controlling through the eccentric action back. Staying in the box with the hips. I'm not swaying, I'm not leaning. I am moving off of that left hip and staying in the box the whole time. That is how you perform the low to high chop variation.